in surgical masks. Here outside the Azteca Stadium, a couple of fans brave the panic and hold out a welcome sign for their team. Up with America, down with the flu, it reads. The Mexican authorities have banned large public gatherings until they can clamp down on the contagion. That means no fans are getting into the stands to watch America play Tecos. On a normal match day, these turnstiles would be spinning as crowds of people thronged through. But today, the gates are firmly locked. A few police are on duty just in case die-hard fans ignore the ban, but none show up. This isn't just any stadium, it's the biggest soccer stadium in all of Latin America. It's got a capacity for 105,000 spectators, and today, there's not one. Tecos net the first goal. The brief celebration echoes around the hollow stadium. Soccer is a passion in Mexico like elsewhere in Latin America, so the sight of tens of thousands of empty seats is eloquent testimony to the deep concern, even panic among normal Mexicans, that the virus could carry on killing. With no home crowd to cheer them on, America lost 2-1. Their trainer was not blamed.
Bizarre. Obviously we're in the centre of a worldwide health scare, which is not a very pleasant place for anyone to be.
Swine flu outbreak and response. Here's what we know so far this morning. More than 1,600 cases, more than 100 dead in Mexico, 26 cases in Canada and the United States, possible cases in 7 other countries from Israel to New Zealand, and airports and schools are key zones of containment.
Well, we certainly don't expect this to get out of control. That's why we're doing everything we possibly can to prevent this virus from occurring, including the research.
We will have all the elements to this story for you this morning, including the financial impact. It's considerable already. Airline shares and world currencies are already feeling the effects. Good morning and welcome to CBC News Morning for a Monday. Our top story, of course, the swine flu outbreak, and developments are constantly changing in this story. We have just learned the World Health Organization has moved up its meeting. It's going to be held today rather than tomorrow to discuss whether the current pandemic alert level should be raised. Again, that meeting later on this afternoon. EU officials are warning Europeans to think twice before they board a plane for the United States or Mexico. That health commissioner with the EU is advising against non-essential travel affected by the swine flu outbreak to any areas affected. In Europe, health officials, meanwhile, are busy tracking suspected cases. Here's the map. 1 case confirmed this morning in Spain, 20 others suspected there. There are suspected cases in France and Israel. British officials are monitoring several cases, including 2 up in Scotland, all of them linked to travel. And there are plenty of travelers still coming and going from Mexico. Many are doing just that through Britain's Heathrow Airport. Officials there are hoping to intercept swine flu cases before they hit the general population in England or perhaps move on further into Europe. We begin our coverage this hour with Anne McMillan in London and the latest details there. Anne.
Heather, all sorts of meetings happening over in Europe, just a sign of just how concerned people here are. As you mentioned, the World Health Organization, headquartered in Geneva, has moved up a meeting of its international flu experts because of the increasing number of confirmed swine flu cases. As you said also, the group was supposed to meet tomorrow, but it will meet today, and it will advise whether this pandemic alert level should be raised. European health ministers also meeting in an emergency session today. Meanwhile, the European Union's health commissioner told the public here, and I quote, to avoid traveling to Mexico or the United States of America unless it's very urgent. She doesn't specifically mention Canada. We've got a call into her office. Haven't returned it yet, but we're waiting to hear whether she includes Canada in that warning. Britain's Foreign Office is also warning against unnecessary travel to Mexico. Meanwhile, Germany's largest travel company suspended all flights to Mexico this morning. As you mentioned, Spain is the only place in Europe that has a confirmed case of swine flu. A 23-year-old man who had returned from a student trip to Mexico last Wednesday is being treated in hospital. There are 20 suspected cases also being treated with antiviral drugs. None of these cases are being classified as serious. Of course, Spain has a very long and historic ties with Mexico, the language, the culture, lots and lots of flights going back and forth between those two countries. France and Scotland and Israel are other European countries where individuals are under hospital observation. The two people in Scotland will learn later today whether or not they have swine flu. Interesting, lighter note, Israel is refusing to call the disease swine flu. They're calling it very firmly Mexican flu. Other news from Britain, health officials have met with government departments. We're told that there are 33 million doses of antiviral drugs stockpiled here. Britain's Health Minister Alan Johnson will make an emergency statement to the House of Commons later today, and here's what he's already said.
Well, the World Health Organization says that UK and France are the two best prepared countries in the world, and we have about £500 million worth of the antiviral, which has worked in Mexico. The good news from Mexico is that given antivirals like Tamiflu early enough, the people who get this recover. We've got a whole range of measures in place.
Heather, doctors and health officials here are saying it's only a matter of time before a case of swine flu is diagnosed here. They're saying today or in the coming days, they're certain that there'll be something. And they're trying to reassure the public here and in the rest of Europe that there are lots of preparations being made.
And thank you very much. Anne McMillan watching the European scene from London this morning. So far, there has been no formal travel warning from Canada relating to swine flu. That could change, though. Margot McDermott is in Ottawa, brings us the latest national pictures for us. Margot?
Heather, federal officials are saying that so far the half-dozen cases of swine flu in Canada are mild cases. But the concern is because people have had very little exposure to this type of flu, this swine flu, that some of these cases could get much worse and the outbreak could spread. Of course, they're saying that Canada is a little bit better prepared, though, because of the SARS outbreak a few years ago. We're better prepared to track the spread of this disease and to warn people about it. Federal officials have also said that they've actually stockpiled 60 million doses of antivirals. Now, these are drugs that can be given to people within 48 hours of showing symptoms of the swine flu, and you can help them get better faster. Also, federal officials are talking to drug companies about producing a vaccine to prevent this flu in Canada. Also, federal health authorities are talking to border officials and to quarantine officials to keep an eye out for anyone who's traveling into Canada that is showing symptoms of the flu. And also, the federal cabinet has set up a special committee to track what's going on with this flu. So they're keeping a close eye on this in Ottawa.
And as they watch, they're certainly issuing advice, Margot, to Canadians about how they can best protect themselves and their families. What are the precautions that officials are advising?
Well, they've spent a lot of time just giving the basic advice to everyone in Canada. Wash your hands and wash your hands more frequently, because while this flu does not spread by droplets in the air through air ducts, for example, it does spread from hand to hand or from object to object and can actually survive quite a long time on objects like door handles, that kind of thing. So wash your hands. Also, they're saying if you feel sick, stay home from work and school, and obviously don't get on a plane if you're feeling sick. And anyone who has recently visited Mexico and is experiencing flu-like symptoms should call their doctor. Keep in mind, Heather, that 1 million Canadians visit Mexico every year, and about 600,000 Mexicans visit Canada. So there is a huge transportation between that country and this country. And as you say, federal officials have not said that people in Canada should not go to Mexico. They have not issued that travel advisory yet, but things could change as the day goes on. So we're keeping an eye on that here in Ottawa today.
All right. Thanks for doing that, Margot. Thank you. Margot McDermott in Ottawa live this hour. We'll have all the early developments on this story each and every day right here on CBC News Morning, and of course then CBC News World with extensive coverage through the day and culminating each evening with Harry Forrestal hosting a special hour-long program tonight and tomorrow. Around the World, Tracking the Outbreak begins at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Now, we are still making calls, getting more information. I can tell you a little bit more. We're expecting a Public Health Agency of Canada news conference this afternoon. It looks like it's going to be 4 p.m. with the very latest on the Canadian situation. So we'll certainly bring you any more information that our calls are yielding. And coming up in just a moment, too, the view from the ground. Chris Brown live on the situation in Mexico, the very epicenter to this. And then the microbiologist, Dr. Don Lowe, will be here to answer your questions about what this flu is and how it's likely to progress. He'll be here for most of the hour to answer my questions and yours, so make sure you send them to us, your turn at cbc.ca. So far, as Margot was just mentioning, there has not been an official Canadian travel advisory for Mexico, but several airlines are allowing customers who book trips to that country to modify their plans. Air Canada will allow travelers to change their booking without any penalty until the 30th of this month, so Thursday. WestJet has a similar policy now in place, and a number of U.S. carriers are also waiving the penalties for any customers who want to change their itinerary, so keep that in mind.